Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about tanking and the builds and attributes you need to be the most effective tank in PvE. Today we're going to focus on the sword and shield and warhammer build and what armor I'm using, the attributes, and the perks of the gear. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sparticus Titus and I'm beginning my channel, and if you find this content helpful, please subscribe, and I'm always open to hearing your thoughts and suggestions, so feel free to comment below. Now let's get into the video. Alright guys, let's talk about this build. We're going to be doing the Frigid Dawn armor along with the Void Dark plate. I am currently running the Leeching Onyxes on all of the gear, except for the sword. I'm running Leeching Taunt, which generates more taunt, which will help you in making sure that you maintain that aggro with all of the enemies that you're dealing with. On the helmet, I'm running Elemental Aversion, Enchanted Ward, and Health. All three of these are pretty good perks. You really want to make sure that you have a lot of health, because with this build you're going to do a lot more attacking and a lot less blocking. The Void Dark plate, it does come with Dark Reinforced, and that gives you plus 20% armor. I also have Enchanted Ward and Physical Aversion, which are also unlocked on there, and I added Health for the additional 2.4 max health. With the gauntlets, I have Elemental Aversion and Enchanted Ward. I also have health on those as well. With this one, I added the Slash Conditioning just to help out with a little bit of mitigation on that, so that you don't end up taking so much damage while you're sitting there attacking. This one has Freedom, so that if you get stunned, slowed, rooted, and you need to get back in that fight because you get knocked down, you're going to be able to get back there a lot quicker. And then I have Hated, Sturdy Energy, Shield Defense, and Enchanted Ward on the shield. Having Hated on the shield will actually help you a lot more when you maintain that threat. Sturdy Energy, when you do need to block, and you really probably will once you get more down towards the end of your stamina bar, you get a lot more of your regen back so that you can get back in the fight. And then you have the Enchanted Wards, which is going to help you mitigate some of that damage from your light and heavy attacks. I'm also running the Spark of Mjolnir. You'll want to have the Brutal Heart Rune of Stone form. You can use it in any form. I've just got it all the way to the 700 mark, just so you get that Fortify on activation. In the unstable form, it's when you explode, it's actually going to do 200% more damage of what the Heart Rune is. And then with all of my jewelry, I'm running the Lost Stopwatch. It's going to have Stunning Gaze. Taunts are active, generate 300% more threats, stuns last 1 second longer. That's going to be great to make sure that when you actually use Defender's Resolve, you're going to actually keep that locked in so that you're not going to lose that aggro. It also comes with Purifying, Hardy, or Health, and Divine. The Divine, so that when my healer hits me, I'm going to actually be able to get plus 10 more health on top of all the leeching that I'm already doing. And these, I don't have any leeching runes on. I just have the onyxes. I went with the Azoth Crystal Ring. The Burning, that's a throwaway perk, but you mainly want to make sure that you have leeching and hardy. And you could probably, if you could find health on it or something like that, that would be perfect. But this one right now, I'm still farming to find something better for that one. And then I have the Earring. It has Refreshing Toast, which is going to help you if you ever need to pop one of those potions really quick. Make sure you can stay in the fight if your healer goes down. Nimble, you want to have that so that you have a bigger regeneration rate. Also, it has Despise. That's going to help you keep that threat when you're sitting there in their face, knocking them down. As you can tell, I'm running a heavy build. It's a pretty big one. And you see you get the 15% base damage. Outgoing healing is mitigated. So you really want to make sure you have something that's going to help give you that extra healing. The block stability, that's great. You don't want to get knocked down in the fight, because then you're not going to actually be there. You're going to be taking damage. Incoming crowd control durations are a little bit diminished there. When you dodge, it's just a minimal step. It does cost you half of your stamina bar if you have 100. It costs half if you have 110. Right now I am running 110 on the stamina bar. For 0.5 seconds after taking a melee hit, you can't run. Your PvP damage crits are 25% less. And as you can tell, if you look through the bar, it gets lower by 5% each time you go down in your equipment loadout weight. Right now I'm running 256 strength. This will be mitigated by the food that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, but I want to make sure that I have the 300 Constitution, and a lot of my Magnify or all of my Magnify has been put into Constitution. So once you take that, you'll be able to use the foods, the banana bread, which will give you the 44 extra strength points for 40 minutes while you're actually in battle. So we're going to go ahead and hit one of those, and we'll go back to that menu and we'll see what it looks like. So now you're up to 300 and 302. You're going to have damage markers of 1255 and 1751. Right now I'm sitting at about 21,000 health, and it will help you tremendously if you can keep this up right here. The reason I take 300 Constitution is because of basic melee attacks gain grit. And the 300 mark on the strength, you're going to get +7 bonus damage while under 90% health, which happens a lot. You're going to take a lot of damage with this build, but you're going to be getting a lot of that back with leeching. And when you have the leeching, you're going to tend to stay up there. So as you can tell, I have physical armor of 3,311. I have elemental of 3,085. It's going to help you out tremendously, and make sure you got that resistance. In physical, I have 17.5% slash damage resistance along with strike and thrust. I have it with elemental damage as well. And while you're in, after you've used your foods, you can also use your desert sunrises. That's going to have your damage over times being reduced greatly. It's a must-have for an end game. So as soon as you can actually start using these, they're well worth using at the time. I run strong honing stones. They're a little cheaper to make, and you can usually find them a lot more abundantly, but you can use the powerful honing stones if that was what you chose to do. You also want to get the powerful incenses. I would recommend you use the incenses while that you are going through. They have all different types, but as soon as you can start using the incenses, I would strongly recommend that you use those. Also, you want to make sure that you have your health potions with you. You want to use every single one that you can find. You want to use your regeneration potions to keep that regeneration going. Once you can start using regeneration serums, those are amazing. They are a godsend to you while you're in battle. It also doesn't cause the cooldown for your infused health potions. So there you get an extra health restored before you start getting your stamina and stuff regained along with your health. All right, so let's go over the attributes that you're going to have when you're using your sword and your warhammer. As you can see, I'm heavily leaning into the left sword master tree. You're going to want to have up here, you're going to want to start with the whirling blade and get the empowering stab along with the Achilles heel. These two right here, you're going to have empowering if you land a heavy attack. That'll give you 5 seconds of 30% in power. Achilles heel, the final attack on your light attack, inflicts rend for 2 seconds. And you're going to want to take the full tree for your sword, your whirling blade. You also want to take out freeing justice. And when you do a heavy attack, you'll lose one of the debuffs. Reverse stab, that's going to be a great one. That one's really going to help you with your abilities are going to be cooled down by tactician by 25%. That's going to be great. With this build, I am currently having where I drop off about 10 seconds off of that. So a 30-second cooldown turns into 20. Or if you have 10 or 11, it's going to end up turning that one into almost instant coming back up. So you can get your Defender's Resolve back up there. When you're at full health, when you have a good healer, they're going to keep you at full health. If you really can do it, the leeching is going to help cover that. You're going to do 15% more damage. On the defender tree, or at the bottom, leadership is going to be the one you're wanting to take. You're going to be sitting there attacking, so you're going to want to do more damage. And you want to make sure that those people that are around you are going to be doing more damage as well. You're going to get 10% for all group members on that. Sturdy shield, it's going to grant you 15% more physical armor, and sturdy grip are going to be the two that you take up here. The stamina damage is going to be reduced by 15% when you block a melee attack with a shield. Elemental resistance, that's going to be a lot of the damage that you're going to be taking with some of these mutated expeditions. You're going to reduce that by 10%. The final blow is going to give you 15% more damage when you cause more threat on that third light attack. It's also, when the update comes, it's going to be buffed from 15% to 40%. Defender's Resolve, that's where you're going to really get the most out of your taunt. You're going to get more threat out of that. You're going to get your base damage reduced by 30%, and you're going to reduce the attacker's stamina damage while blocking for 20%. This ability has grit. Now, restoration at the very bottom of the tree, when Defender's Resolve ends, you're going to get 30% of your base health, and that's going to be quite a bit, especially considering you're going to be running close to 22,000 health. That's going to be paramount. That works. That's saved me in so many scenarios, and if you keep it up, you're going to know that you have that at the end that's going to come to you. All right, guys, and here comes the Warhammer build. I'm running predominantly the left tree for the Juggernaut. You're going to want to take these two top perks up here. Armor Breaker, that's going to be your first attribute that you're going to take, and that does a lot of damage. Hammer Time, that's going to help you when you get Empowerment, and it increases the damage for 40 or 20% for 4 seconds. I did not take the full tree of Armor Breaker. I got Indomitable and Lasting Trauma. If you want to, you can also take out Opening Act, and that would help increase your armor breaking damage by 25% for health, or for enemies above 70% health. And you're not really going to be dealing with a lot of people above 70% health for that often. I usually use this build more or less to use as a secondary aggro, and I'll get into that further down the line. So the next attribute you're going to take is Mighty Gavel. That's an overhead leaping strike that's going to come down on the enemy. It's going to do a lot more damage, and this is where you're going to have this for Justice for All. That adds the grit, and then it also increases your critical chance, and it will also reduce all of your cooldowns on top of 10%. That helps out tremendously. Remember, the cooldowns are going to keep you in the fight. They're going to keep you taunting. They're going to keep you threatening. The next one that I'm going to take is Hardened Steel. This adds grit to the Warhammer heavy attacks, and it also grants a 12% damage reduction while the grit's active. I did take the full tree of Mighty Gavel, so we're going to go into Summary Judgment. Increased Mighty Gavel does 20% to targets below 50 health. The next one that we're going to go to is Quick Recovery. Heavy attacks also reduce your cooldowns. Remember, those are your best friend. You want to keep those going. Impact Fracture. Increased stamina damage done by the Mighty Gavel by 25%. You want to do that. You want to make sure if you're sitting there needing to break somebody down and you've got that threat and you need to swap over and use it, you got that right there in your pocket. The next one is going to be Expedite. And that is going to, after a successful hit, you gain haste and increase player movement speed by 30%. That's going to help you get back into that fight when they run away. As you've seen, one of the enemies runs and you need to get caught back up to them really quick. You could land a Mighty Gavel real fast and get to moving there. Power Through Pain. It's going to do 35% more damage for 1 second after you've taken a hit. That is tremendous. That'll add a lot more. You're going to be doing a lot better damage, and that will help in the long run. And then this one is the predominant one that I use. It's under the Crowd Crusher tree. It's the Shockwave. With the Shockwave, you're going to slam your Warhammer onto the ground, causing a 3-meter radius earthquake that deals 60% weapon damage, staggering and stunning all impacted targets for 2 seconds. This ability will have grit as well. You can put the hammer, a Carnelian on the hammer, and this will inflict taunt to them so that they'll stay in that aggro. That's not going to be your primary way, but if you don't have your Defender's Resolve up, you can always switch to the Shockwave and lay that down so that you can get back in the fight and keep generating that threat. I also took Frailty. That's also going to weaken them and decrease their attacks for 10% for 10 seconds. And then you have Meteoric Crater. That also expands the range from 3 to 4. Outnumbered is going to increase your armor by 20% if you're surrounded by 2 or more enemies. And with you tanking 95% of the time, you will have more than 2 people on you. So you will most definitely want to take this perk. It's going to help you out. Acceleration. Reduce Warhammer cooldowns by 7%. Remember, that's crucial to have those cooldowns when you're using your light attacks against targets. Sometimes you'll just hit them with a light attack. Sometimes that helps out if you need that extra moment. Concussive Impact. You're going to deal 15% increased damage to targets that have Warhammer debuffs. And in most cases, you're going to end up giving them a lot of debuffs that way. So you want to help get all that extra damage you can if you're wanting to get into DPS. Prevailing Spirit, you're going to get 35% when you use a Crowd Crusher ability. And this will be the Warhammer build. We're going to go ahead and get back into the footage here fighting. All right, now that we're in the battle, we're going to go in. We're going to go ahead and use all of our potions and our foods. Then we're going to go ahead and use the Honing Stones. Get some of that extra damage there so we can make sure we can do the best we can. Get some powerful incense. We're going to go ahead and get into this. When we get into battle, we're going to go ahead. We're going to use taunts. As you can tell, I'm keeping threat very well with this right here. Then the key to having a really good tank, if you've got anybody that's really doing any kind of close-up attacking, which a lot of these are ranged, they're going to get more damage by attacking from the front. Now, if you have people that are going to get in there and fight with you, you want to try to get that backside to them so that they can get more damage and get those critical spots. And you really want to make sure that you're dealing as much damage as possible so that you can maintain that level of healing. It really helps keep that healer from having to just stay on you just religiously. They'll greatly appreciate what they're doing or what you're doing for them. I'm going to run in. I'm going to go ahead and throw down that taunt. And I'm going to start swinging to generate this threat. Let's group these back together. And we're going to just run up in the big group. And you can see the bars have turned to red. We're going to hit a taunt so we can keep that aggro going. But you always want to make sure that you have these nameplates have the big red aura around them. That way you know you have kept the threat on those people. And then you're not going to be putting the rest of your teammates at risk. There's a perfect example. When you get stunned with these big guys, when they heavy attack, you can go ahead and pop your heart rune. And the stone form is really going to help keep you from being stunned. You're going to stay up in that battle. You're going to be able to keep that threat going. You're not really going to have any issues. I'm going to go ahead and throw down that taunt, start getting that aggro up. Toss it down again. Let's keep that going. Also, when you're throwing down Defender's Resolve, you're going to be getting a lot of your healing back by how much damage you're putting out. As you can see, I lost a little bit of aggro on that Legion Infantryman. Yeah, and if they start doing damage and you're not putting damage out, you're going to lose that threat. You got to keep it going. You got to stay in the fight. You got to get everybody to stay there. So in particular in engagements like this one here, you're going to have AoE attacks. They're going to lay down these large, massive circle areas like this right here. You want to make sure that if you can stay in there, stay in the fight. If you can't, you just need to get out, then you need to get out. There are some that'll get you tossed out of there. This one particular, Anpu, has one that will put a chain of lightning around himself, and sometimes it'll knock you down. If you kind of know, just try to keep your stone form up, and that'll keep you from getting knocked out of those circles. Like you can see right there, I'm staying right in the fight. And you can see I just got that one hit in, and I took that threat so that we don't have any issues where any of your allies are taking damage there. Let's go ahead and get that Defender's Resolve popped up there. Keep laying down that taunt, that threat. Keep them faced front and center on you. And as you can tell, one of our guys didn't go and get one of the pillars. As the tank, you're going to just stay here. You're going to try to keep that threat going for as long as possible. You're going to let your DPS and your healers take care of those things. Unless they're down, and then you can coordinate that as you need to. Go ahead and throw down this stone form here so we can just keep staying in the fight. As you can see, I've been stunned. Let's go ahead and we'll get that Defender's Resolve back up just so we can get that threat level back up there. And then these mechanics here, you're going to have to get these two guys to be right there with each other because you have to bring them down within 10 seconds of each other. And that's going to be your job to bring these folks together. Just like that. You just want to get them clumped together so we can deliver that DPS at the same time. Anpu will run off from time to time. As you can tell, he's a little bit lower, so we're going to go ahead and keep focusing on Haru here. And kind of stand in the middle, get the taunt from both of them. As you can tell, go ahead. Oh, yep. Make sure you check out the video that's coming up on the screen right now. And on New World, my name is Grendel the Dark. I am on Lilith. I also do have a company that I am the governor of. It's Purveyors of Darkness. And I hope to catch you in Aeternum. Until the next one.